Clouds 2 for the overnight low. On Friday, clouds giving way to sunny skies working through the afternoon. A very cold day, 15. Friday night, partly cloudy, 2. Saturday, last day of the month, sunny and cold, 19 degrees. Saturday night, clear skies and 3. Sunday, partly sunny skies. In the morning, let's go cloudy in the afternoon, 28 with some light snow and flurries. Late in the day on Sunday into Sunday evening, another shot of a dusting. The full moon, known as the full snow moon of February, is Sunday. We kick off the month with the full moon. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 23 degrees downtown at the Arch now. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, if you're headed southbound on 270, we're still slow all to 64. It's bogged down again at Clayton Road, but a solid jam from Manchester all the way to Tesson Ferry. We have a stall reported in the traffic lanes at Big Bend, a minor crash in the right lane at 44, and the right lane still blocked to Tesson Ferry for the initial crash. Southbound 170 is jammed, Olive down to 64. Westbound 64 bumper to bumper, Boyle out to McCausland, little slow Spady Ballast, Clarkson to Topgolf, backed up west of Winghaven to 364, then heavy to 70. Eastbound 64 from 270 all the way to Big Bend is slow. Eastbound 70 still has delays from Air Flight in through almost to Bermuda from an earlier crash we had at Hanley. North 170, 70 up through Airport Road's busy. Westbound 70, TR Hughes through Highway K is slow. Southbound 141 jams from north of Big Bend all the way down to 44, from approaching Bowles down to San Simeon and 13th Street down through Romaine Creek. Southbound 55, Arsenal through Bates. Westbound 44, jam past the bridges downtown. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, guys, good to be with you here on a Thursday. Man, this week is flying by. Matt, Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here on Rush Hour Sports. We have some...
Hold on.
What?
You don't have 2 kids. There's no such thing as a week flying by.
Well, I didn't say for you.
It's okay. I feel like you're inferring that I'm going along on that ride. I'm slowing you down on that one.
Yeah, no. There's no such thing. You can have 1 kid, 2 kid, 3. Anytime you got little ones in the house that are like younger than 10, yeah, you got long days and weeks.
Yep. Just making sure
There's
I'm not on
always
that
a lot
path
going on.
with you.
No, but when you're an empty nester and your kid's 28 years old, things fly by a little bit sometimes. That's the way it goes. Speaking of flying by, man, less than 2 weeks from pitchers and catchers reporting.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. So next, not this upcoming Monday, the next Monday, the 9th, that's the voluntary report date for WBC pitchers and catchers. And then 2 weeks from today is the pitchers and catchers report date, and a few days after the full squad report date. So, I mean, it is, Kevin, it's here. And there's still some things that need to happen.
Yeah.
You feel like if Brendan Donovan's going to get moved, it's going to happen in all likelihood before spring training starts.
You would think.
That right-handed bat that can play the outfield, you'd like that guy to be around before full squads report. So there's still some boxes to check here in the next 10 to 14 days.
Well, when they get to that stuff, we'll definitely be talking about it. But unfortunately, we've talked about so much of it. It's just we can't repeat the same conversations about Donovan and the right-handed bats that are available because that would be pretty boring. But we'll be keeping an eye on it, and if and when those things happen or when they don't, we'll obviously have those angles going into spring training. A lot of baseball to start today, maybe veering off that late in the show today, but mostly starting with baseball. And I wanted to throw this at you, Matt. I mean, so I think that the projection systems are what they are. They are not a gospel, and they are also not ridiculously bad. They're just kind of a ballpark of what the numbers think of your team, not what a person's opinion is. Not an evaluation. It's simply what do the numbers add up to. And Dan Zimborski does a great job of this with Fangraphs. He's the guy that runs their Zips projections. And today he put out the latest version. This is not the final projection. They will do that later after the rosters are more settled, more free agents have signed, things along those lines. But as of today, they have posted their projected standings based on Zips. Keeping in mind a couple things, guys, before I tell you where the Cardinals are. Typically, these types of projections gravitate teams toward the center. So they don't usually see any real terrible outliers on the bottom or any big winners at the top, right? So based on the projections for this year, just as an example, they only have one team set to win more than 91 games. And I think we can figure out which team that is. That would be the Dodgers. The only other team that is projected on these to have more than 90 is Philadelphia at 91. And I think there's only one other team that's at 90. So, like, that's how projection systems are. They tend to gravitate toward the center. It was the Blue Jays and Red Sox projected at 90. So they tend to do that. So understand that. They're more of looking at a middle ground than any extreme performance on the good or the bad. And according to these Zips projections, Matt, they've got the Cardinals at 77 wins. Now, again, it's not a prediction. It's not absolute science. I think it's just an interesting thing to point out that even with the subtractions, the numbers, the analytics say you're pretty much what you were last year.
Yeah, that's not a surprise to me.
No.
Because starting pitching should be better. Hitting might be a little bit worse. Relief pitching is probably going to be about the same. That, to me, they look on paper to be very similar record-wise as they were last year. What actually interests me a little bit more, because we saw like the Vegas win totals come out, and the Cardinals had the lowest win totals.
Was it 73 and a half?
I don't remember. It's somewhere in that area. But they were last in the NL Central, and before that even came out, I said my prediction was that most people would be taking the Cardinals last because the Cubs are the Cubs, the Brewers are the Brewers, the Reds are a good young team coming off a playoff berth last year. Pirates may have the best pitching top to bottom in the division. You don't really have a story when it comes to the Cardinals. And interestingly enough, they've got Pittsburgh at 74 wins, 3 wins behind the Cardinals. They do not have the Cardinals as the last place projection, and that actually surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the Pirates are going to be a little sexier because they actually made some moves, and they do. Look, they got Paul Skeens. They've got a really good pitching staff, and it's only going to get better later in the year when Jared Jones gets healthier. He's coming off of Tommy John, but he had it early in the spring last year, so he will probably be helping them by May or June. But the point is that they're really loaded. They may have the Rookie of the Year coming in Griffin. And dude, I got to tell you something. Have you seen Connor Griffin?
Seen a little bit. Seen some stuff on him, on the old social medias.
My Lord. The physical and potential comp to him is basically Bobby Witt Jr. That's the kind of player he is. He's a giant, he's 6'4", super athlete, can fly, has 30 home run power. Seems like they think he's going to stay at shortstop long term. So that's kind of the current major league comp for him. And it doesn't mean he's going to be that, but that's the kind of player he is.
It feels like, when you look at the prospect lists and you see Connor Griffin number 1, it almost feels like there's a little bit of a gap between him and whoever you have at number 2. He's we talk about J.J. Weatherholt being can't miss. Connor Griffin looks like can't miss plus just super impactful.
Yeah, and that's part of why you're going to have helium with the Pirates, but that's why the numbers don't necessarily match the human excitement, because the humans are looking at it like me. And I would say, well, they've added some real power. They added Brandon Lau, who's going to add 30 home runs to their lineup. Spencer Horwitz is healthy to start the year. They've got this pitching staff, and then if Connor Griffin is the real deal. But the numbers aren't going to be looking at all of that, because the numbers will probably project low, for example, on a guy like Griffin just because he's a rookie. And the numbers will expect more of an average performance from most, as opposed to any standouts or anything like that.
But we can say that the Cardinals are, like we said, likely to add that right-handed bat. So that's going to – right now they're still left-handed heavy, and they've got a bunch of guys who did not perform last year. So Zips will probably be buoyed a little bit by that right-handed bat. Now, at the same time, if they do end up trading Donovan, it's going to go back in the other direction.
All right, here we go. We got a question on the offense from Matt on the stream. Thanks, Matt, for jumping in. We appreciate you. He said, why would the hitting be worse? He said, are you assuming we don't have Brendan Donovan? Arenado wasn't a huge loss. Contreras was, but you have to keep believing. You have to believe the young hitters will improve this year. Yes? Question mark. Interesting point, and I would say this. I don't think we assume that it's going to be worse, but I think right now it is.
Yeah.
And simply from taking Contreras out of the lineup. I mean, he was your home run leader. He's one of your most consistent guys in terms of producing runs. It doesn't mean you won't be, but I would say as of today, you're a worse offense. But that doesn't mean that it will be. I think there's a chance it could be close, depending on J.J. Weatherholt's level of production when he arrives, based on the young guys that he's referring to, whether it's Gorman or Walker or Wynn or Scott or whatever. I mean, there's definitely room for there to be upside.
Herrera for a full season, if you get that.
Yeah, if we can keep him on the field, yeah.
Alec Burleson spent the first third of the season last year as a bench guy. If he's in every single day, that can help the offense.
Yeah.
But I'm the one who said it, and I'll stand by. That's not a guarantee on paper. Just very surface level on paper. They're a team that did not score many runs last year,
right,
and struggled offensively,
right,
and they lost, if not their best hitter, one of their best hitters in Wilson Contreras. I way leave open the idea that they can be a better offensive club than last year. Like we were saying last year, it's also very much connected to Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman. If those guys are able to get going and be a little bit more consistent. But I think the pitching being better is more of a foregone conclusion. I am so much more comfortable with everybody in the rotation when you consider they're going to be in there, as opposed to Miles Michaelis, Eric Fetty, and the version of Andre Palante we got down the stretch of the season. So that it's really easy for me to say a starting pitcher top to bottom, even losing Sonny Gray, is going to be better and more consistent. I can't make that easy proclamation when it comes to the hitting.
No, we'll keep on with this discussion. Obviously, a lot of Cardinals in baseball coming up in this, I would say at least for the next half hour or so, and maybe something else toward the end of the show. Kind of depends on how it goes. Feel free to throw in your 2 cents. You can do that on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Obviously, 314-436-7900 if you want to text. So we'll keep up with this. And I want to add something. So you guys that are listening, you can chime in on this. You can think about it during the break. Matt, you can think about it during the break as well. Because I'm not totally springing it on you because I threw it on the tweet and you saw that. But how much does winning impact your ability to enjoy watching a sport? In other words, can you watch a Cardinals team that's under 500 and be okay with it? And I don't mean accept it. I mean, still watch, enjoy the game. Because when I go to a ball game, I don't go to see a win. I go to see a ball game. Now, over time, of course, it's much more fun to root for a good team. But I want to know, how much does that impact your willingness to participate? Not by tickets. Watch and enjoy a sport versus only enjoying it when your team wins. So we'll talk a bit more about that coming up here on Rush Hour Sports on KMOX.
KMOX, celebrating 100 years. Presented by Purina, your pet, our passion. Now, a KMOX pioneer.
For nearly half a century, Jack Buck was the unmistakable sound of St. Louis. His warm storytelling and unforgettable calls transformed baseball on the radio. From Cardinals championships to the everyday heartbeat of the season, Jack's voice became part of life in St. Louis.
It's the great American pastime, baseball. It's not just a game invented for athletes who can run from home to first in 4 seconds. It's a game made for kids and played by kids.
Beyond baseball, he was a full-range broadcaster. Buck hosted the station's At Your Service and Sports Open Line programs. He was a storyteller whose humor and humility resonated with fans far beyond the ballpark. Jack Buck, a KMOX pioneer.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first in line for Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pella window replacement specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or see them online and have a banner day.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, it's pretty tough going south right now. Southbound 170 is a solid jam, Olive down to 64. South 270 slow at Olive, and it's a solid jam from 64 all the way down to Tesson Ferry. We've had a stall at Big Bend, a crash near 44 in the right lane, and the one at Tesson Ferry that was in the right lane. Folks are taking 141. It's backed up approaching Conway down to 64. It's slow really all the way down to a point right around Carmen, and then it's jammed from there all the way into Valley Park. There's still a backup coming down from San Simeon and Gregory due to an earlier crash, and it's bumper to bumper from almost Highview down to Romaine Creek, so south is a real difficult to run. Westbound 64, Boyle out to McCausland's backed up. There's still a slowdown around Topgolf and a couple of spots approaching 364 to 70. Eastbound 64, 270 through the Interbelt's heavy. North 170, Natural Bridge up to 70, slow. Eastbound 70 is heavy from 170 all the way in through Lucas Hunt. Westbound 44 through Elm and a little busy at 270. Southbound 55 Arsenal Debates. Westbound 44 still backed up. Actually, eastbound 70 from Salisbury all the way down to 55. You got congestion. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, back in on Rush Hour Sports. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Obviously talking baseball here at the beginning. A lot of interesting stuff to get to, Matt. So I asked the question before as we went into the break, and we'll get to some of the answers on the stream here, and we'll get our answers into it as well. But how much does winning impact your ability to watch your team? Because, again, I'm not talking about being happy. Like, nobody's happy when the team's not good, when any team's not good. If you follow a team and they're not good, you're not happy about it. That's not what I'm asking. We're talking about, do you still enjoy the sport? Because to me, I can watch the worst team in baseball, and as a Tigers fan, I have done that many years, and still enjoy the game. And still, maybe it's not every game. Maybe it's, on the day when a good pitcher is pitching or whatever. But I do think that enjoying a competitive sporting event is more than just whether or not your team is winning or losing the game.
Yeah, I think so. Now, are there some just terrible games that are played during the year which are hard to enjoy? Sure, that's baseball. When you play 162 games, you got some stinkers in there that are not the most entertaining things in the world. But for the most part, it's a lot more fun to watch a winner. It's we know that the crowds are there, the excitement, the energy, the fervor that goes along with it. But just sitting back and enjoying a baseball game, I can do that no matter what. I watch games on TV all the time that I don't have a rooting interest in, but I just enjoy watching the game of baseball. And I kind of straddle the line because I like to say that I don't want to tell fans how to be fans, but sometimes I do get bummed out by the fact that there are so many Cardinals fans that it's okay to want winning. It's okay to demand winning. It's okay for all of that. Yeah. But sometimes it goes across this threshold where you stop enjoying the cool stuff that's happening. Mason Wynn playing the version of shortstop he plays, you don't know what he's going to do on any given night. And Kevin, there were terrible teams that Ozzie Smith played for.
Oh, my God,
terrible Cardinals teams.
Absolutely.
I think I was born in 1982, so this is right as I was becoming a baseball fan. Was the end of some bad stuff, and then very quickly into some really, really good stuff. So maybe I have a hard time commenting on this, and there's some people out there who lived through it who could maybe speak to it better than I can. But I think it's different. I think on those years where the team wasn't very good, I think there was a higher percentage of people who could just go out to the game and enjoy it and never know what you're going to see from somebody like an Ozzie Smith, yet that doesn't seem to exist quite as much when the Cardinals have somebody like Mason Wynn. So I don't want people to hear what I'm saying as being accepting of losing. That's not it.
No.
But it's the enjoyment of an amazing game and amazing athletes doing amazing things.
They're two separate things. Every fan wants their team to be good and in their own way demands it, right? Whether you decide not to go to games or you watch less or whatever, that's all cool. And what I'm talking about more is accepting reality at any given moment. Like, for example, this year, if you're going to be angry that the Cardinals aren't spending $200 million, you are wasting your time and energy. The reality is that ain't happening, so yelling about it, being mad about it, or living and dying with every loss is just an impractical waste of your time. So you are able to still, and to me, you should still be able to enjoy other things while waiting for the team to get back, because it is about getting back to being good. None of this is ever about okay. And I think Matt summed this up pretty well, Matt, our listener, Matt. I'm just weird saying Matt's name and then talking to you. But he said, I can live without winning as long as I have a few players having seasons to dream on. We didn't do a lot of winning in the 90s, but, man, those teams were fun. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we want. Like, from this team, what's going to have to be good is the fun's going to have to be in the individual players. Mason Wynn, J.J. Weatherhill. He'll be a popular guy when he gets here, I think. He fits the mold of popular guy because he plays with a lot of energy. He's got more swag than a lot of recent Cardinals. He's definitely confident. He's a confident young man in a good way. He's not like a, thump his chest kind of guy, but he's a very confident, aggressive player. And you'll enjoy that. We got Aaron chiming in, said winning is huge for my enjoyment. A loss ruins my day or week, depending on the sport. Man, we got to work on that, Aaron. We love you. You're here every day, but that's too much weight to carry. You're not playing or coaching, man. It's not on you.
Yeah, I would hope. Now, are there losses that stick with you?
Of course.
I think back about that Philly series in 2022 way more often than I should. And I play it out in my head. If they would have won that series, does different stuff happen following that? Like, that's the last, I don't know. Like that, I think about that series so often, and I need to let that one go. The other day,
I'm still obsessed with the Fiesta Bowl from 23 years ago.
Okay. I'm obsessed with the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl where there's 3 seconds left on the clock. Every single time I see that stupid field goal go through, it hits the net,
and
there's 3 seconds left on the clock.
Also, and by the way, to be clear for everybody, most of you know this, but some of you don't. I was still 7 years from ever stepping foot in St. Louis when that Super Bowl was played, and I thought it was disgusting how the officials swallowed their whistles for that entire game. You played the whole season one way, and you get to the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden, there's no such thing as a defensive penalty for holding or pass interference or anything else. I thought that was terrible, and I did not work here or cover the team or root for the team. I was just watching as a sports guy doing national radio.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are losses but they don't stick with me on a day-to-day basis, especially in a 162 game baseball season. And I just I thought last year's team was fun, Kevin. Like I don't know, maybe I'm just baseball crazy, but I enjoyed last year's Cardinals. Again, were there some bad games? Were there some pitching performances that just like that 4th of July game? I think it was in Chicago. Wasn't that 4th of July?
Yeah.
Where Miles Michaelis is still giving up home runs in that game.
The fireworks went off early.
Yeah, that in the moment was not enjoyable. But when I take a step back and look back at last year, I enjoyed watching that team play.
Aces chimes in with a funny one because if you're not watching, if you're listening on the radio, I'm wearing a Lions hoodie today because it's cold out, and I'm a Lions fan. He said you would live a happier life being a Chiefs fan. I don't know. I would say no, because then I would also not have an NBA team, and I wouldn't have an NHL team, and I would have a baseball team that's, that they won once. Don't get me wrong. The Royals are getting pretty good again, but like, come on, they've only had a couple of good runs in my lifetime. 2015, the mid-20s, or that 2013, 14, 15, that range. And then in the 80s, they were good. So no, I wouldn't trade it. I've got World Series as a fan. I've got multiple Stanley Cups. I've got 3 NBA championships. My college team's won. I'm okay with what I've ended up. I don't need to be a Chiefs fan. I'm good.
Fair enough.
But it was a funny line. Good play, Aces. I like it because you're right. Because as a Lions fan, we've had a lot of misery. It's basically been what it all is. And yet, see, I still wear the sweater and I still watch the games, even though it's been 50 years of suckitude.
I'm wearing a K-State thing right now. They're not great.
Yeah, outside of a short window, not been great there either. All right, more of your messages. Obviously, more baseball coming up after the news on KMOX.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
At 5:30, this update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. We've got a cloudy sky and 23 degrees downtown at the Arch.
KMOX is covering breaking news.
Democrats in the White House have struck a deal to avert a partial government shutdown and temporarily fund the Department of Homeland Security as they negotiate new restrictions for the surge of immigration enforcement. As the country reels from the deaths of 2 protesters at the hands of agents in Minneapolis, the 2 sides have agreed to separate Homeland Security funding from the rest of the legislation and to fund DHS for 2 weeks while they debate Democratic demands for curbs on the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, or ICE. The potential deal comes after Democrats voted to block legislation today to fund the Department of Homeland Security. The driving habits of older Americans can reveal early warning signs of dementia, according to a new study.
Researchers tracked the driving habits of hundreds of drivers ages 65 and older for several years. Those who started braking harder or getting in accidents were more likely to develop white matter damage in the back of the brain, an early warning sign of cognitive decline. Study co-author Dr. Chia-Ling Pua.
The reason why we focus on driving is that it is a particularly good real-world cognitive test. I think what this shows is that it's far more sensitive than those tests that you do in a doctor's office.
The study also found drivers who were taking blood pressure medications were less likely to show unsafe driving behaviors. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
As thousands of Seattle Seahawks fans continue to prepare for next week's Super Bowl at Levi's Stadium in California, many of those fans are turning to a higher power to guarantee the win.
Father Brian DeLessie in Renton, Washington says it's not necessarily a sin to ask God for a Seahawks win.
Well, I wouldn't call it any sin in the large scheme.
In the end, he says it's up to the big man himself and the players, of course.
If they've trained well, they practice well, and they do the best they can, we'll see where the Holy Spirit.
All right, as long as it's in the end zone several times, that's fine.
We'll be hoping so, man.
And if you're wondering, yes, Father Brian is also rooting for the Seahawks. Luke Ducey for CBS News, Seattle.
An Olympic gymnast has a shot at getting back her bronze medal.
Switzerland's top court has ordered the Court of Arbitration for Sport to rehear American gymnast Jordan Childs' case in her effort to reclaim the bronze medal on floor exercise from the 2024 Paris Olympics due to new evidence. Childs was stripped of the medal following an appeal by Romania. The federal court wants CAS to examine a recording that could show the original U.S. challenge of the judge score was within a 1-minute deadline on the field of play. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
USA Gymnastics praises the court for, it says, recognizing the flaws in the initial process. Do the frigid temperatures have you wishing for spring? AccuWeather lead long-range expert Paul Pastelok says it could be a wet one.
Which would be a good thing, because if you look at the totals, we're still kind of in a moderate drought for the region. We've had a couple of snow events, but still a drought continues across the area. And so getting some rain this spring is going to help out, I think.
Pastelok says rain should come in March and April, and some of it could be heavy. Snow's not going to be heavy tonight, but we could see some light dusting of snow or flurries overnight. Low temperature is going to be 2 degrees, TWO. For Friday, we've got clouds giving way to sunshine. It's still going to be cold, high of 15 for tomorrow night, low of 2. Saturday's high, 19. Warm up for Saturday night, low temperature of 3. Right now it's 23, feels like 18 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-390-1164. 800-390-1164. 800-390-1164.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition, sponsored by Purina.
SSM Health welcomes the St. Louis Golf Expo January 30th through February 1st at St. Charles Convention Center. Buy big brands with Pro-Am Golf, test your skills, and win prizes while they last. VIP tickets at STLGolfExpo.com.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia, featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me!
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker.
Yes.
Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
Oh! There's never been anything like this. Let's go.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I think we became the largest injury firm in the world, and it's not even close. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My wife and I had a plan early on. In our firm, our lawyers only work on certain types of cases. Our products liability and dangerous drug lawyers only work on those cases. Same for car crashes, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, and insurance disputes. Our thinking is for these lawyers to focus on one area of the law and live it and breathe it. Power comes from knowledge. Many lawyers do everything, jack of all trades. Not us, and we don't charge an hourly rate. You only pay us if we win. If you want to hire us, it's easy. Dial Pound Law on your cell phone, pound 529, or visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer from the comfort of your own home. Let us get to work for you. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
All right, guys, listen up. If you want the most money and the least amount of stress when you're selling your home, simple plan for you. Call Gloria Liu. Hey, it's Kevin Wheeler here. You know, look, we've all heard of St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And I've had the good fortune to get to know Gloria, to learn about her systems and how they work. And it's clear, man, she is not your average realtor. It's very simple. She's got a database of thousands of buyers in waiting. A lot of them are just looking for a home that's like yours. So your home could be, for all practical purpose, could already be sold because you have that database there. She sells homes faster and for more than the average agent, and she's helped thousands of families over more than 23 years in real estate. So you're getting experience, you're getting access to things like that great database. You know, the average agent, for example, sells 4 to 5 homes a year. Gloria is selling a home just about every other day. And then, of course, you've got the upfront written guarantee, and it's simple and powerful. Gloria will sell your home at a price and time frame acceptable to you, or she will buy it herself. It really is that simple. So when you're ready to sell your home, do your homework and then call the expert that I trust. Call Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. And as always, seller and Gloria must agree on price and possession date.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles your most trusted and #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2026. We know your time is valuable. That's why every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet. Plus, this month only, sign and drive a new Genesis with only your first payment due at signing. And leases start as low as $319 a month. That's right, $319 a month with only your first payment due at signing. We'll bring the test drive to you. Visit GenesisofStCharles.com today. Based on GMA sales records for 2025. Unapproved credit. See dealer for details. Offer ends 1/31/26.
St. Louis has a voice.
This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
The St. Louis Blues are the Stanley Cup champions.
From moment to memory.
Now there is only one Berlin.
Among those voices, Wendy Weiss.
We'll have more on the troop deployment to Bosnia.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Comfort Inn Westport Event Center in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, there's plenty of traffic still out there. I'm looking right now at, I guess it's a stall right now. Westbound 70 at the airport blocking the left lane. It's jammed at 170. Eastbound Highway 70 is bogged down still from 170 all the way into about Jennings Station from that earlier crash we had at Hanley. Southbound 170, bumper to bumper, south of Olive down to 64. Westbound 64, Kings Highway out through McCausland is slow. And then it's heavy again, 364 to 70. Eastbound 64 jams, 270 into Lindbergh. We had a crash at Clayton Warson. They just cleared it. And then it's still heavy McKnight to Big Bend after that. South 270 is on the brakes from just south of 64 all the way to 44, bumper to bumper. Then it's slow to Gravois. A lot of folks have been taking 141, the worst of it. Southbound 141, Carmen all the way to 44. And south of Gravois Bluffs all the way down to Romaine Creek. That's all a solid jam. Westbound 44 backs up past the bridges downtown onto 55. And then southbound 55 south of Arsenal to Bates, you've still got the usual congestion. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, Rush Hour Sports, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. And then when we're done, top of the hour, countdown to opening day. What do we got today, Matt? What are you looking at?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show. Mike Claiborne and myself have you for the program. Plus, we've got a couple of long conversations. Benji Molina joins us.
Nice.
I
love Benji.
Number one. He's the best. He is the absolute best. And then Moises Rodriguez, who is assistant GM for international scouting. They just announced the most recent international signing class here over the last couple weeks. So we're going to talk with him about that and the importance of international scouting and what's maybe changed here recently since Chaim Bloom took over in that area. So it's going to be, I think, an informative, fun show coming up tonight.
All right. We got a lot of messages coming in, Matt, on the question about just, Ian, how much of a requirement is your team being a winning team when it comes to your ability to enjoy the sport? Again, nobody's saying it's okay to be like, oh, just be mediocre forever. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about each individual person being able to accept the circumstances as they are at a given point. Like when your team is really good, all right, that's great. We want our teams to win, and you should always be pushing your team to win with whatever way you can. Your voice, your words online, your money, whatever. You should try to influence that. Absolutely. You're the customer. I'm the customer. We all want that. But I also very much enjoy a game even if my team's not good. And maybe it's because guys like you and me are weirdos, and that's why we end up doing what we do, because we're weirdos. Yeah. But we're getting a bunch of different responses on this. Enrico Palazzo says, when I was younger, the losing affected me more than it does now, which I get. I think that's true for me too. Like when I was a younger guy, I think those kind of things did sit with me a little bit more. I don't know when it started to change. Probably the longer I was in this business, which is also what I have to kind of keep in mind, is that, you know, it's a little bit unique when you're doing something every day and you start to get, you just see how difficult things are. Then he trolls me. Thanks, Enrico. You remember the 43-win season by the Tigers? Yes. And you know what? I probably watched 100 of those games at least, and I didn't even live in town. So, again, my team doesn't have to be good for me to watch them. They're still my team one way or the other. And I like the sport as a whole. Like you said, I'll watch 2 games on TV at midnight, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I don't even care who wins. I just like to watch ball.
Yeah, and the point, too, about it not impacting you as much as it gets older, I really, really resonate with that. I think back to when I was like broadcasting college basketball as a team broadcaster. If my team lost a big game, I was I was despondent. Like I'd go back to the hotel room and I just would put my face into a pillow and I would have a terrible, terrible night. And no matter where I was, like sometimes my wife would be traveling with me and she would basically know, okay, it's going to be I'm not like that anymore. Like you get older, you have kids, like others, you realize there's other things going on in the world. So I do, I very much resonate with the idea that are there games that bum me out? We had somebody mention earlier on the chat about Game 7 of the Blues series last year. Yeah, that one still sticks with me. Absolutely still sticks with me. So it's not that I'm less passionate. It's not that I don't care as much. But when you're a little bit younger, I think the level of distraughtness. I don't think that's a word, but I just came up with it. That level is a little bit more, I think, when you tend to be younger.
Well, and look, to me, the bigger the game, the more that should stick with you, right? When you watch the Cardinals get beat in the National League Championship Series, okay, that's going to stick with you because you're that close, right? And I feel the same. That's why I mentioned the Fiesta Bowl from 23 years ago. It was a championship game. I don't sweat the regular season the same way, especially not in baseball. In football, a little bit more, especially college football, a little bit more. But it's also not going to ruin my week. When my Canes lost, it didn't ruin my week. I was pissed for about an hour and a half, and then I'm like, all right, time to move on. There's just not much more I can do about that one. Let's see here. We got Luke chiming in. Said, as long as the game is played the right way, talking about how much you can enjoy it, and then as long as I don't have to watch Palante or Fetty ever again, well, you'll get one of those witches, Luke. I don't think you're going to get both. I think Andre Palante is going to be around at least a little bit this year, depending on how his spring goes.
But here's the thing about this year's version of Palante. He's going to have to win a job, and he can't win a job pitching the way he pitched last year.
No.
There's too much competition in the rotation. So if he looks in spring the way he looked in the second half of net last season, he's not going to have a job. So when I talk over and over and over about the rotation and I say, well, you're replacing Michaelis Fetty and last year's version of Palante, the reason I keep saying last year's version of Palante is we are not going to see that version. That version's not winning a job, barring crazy injuries, barring three starting pitchers getting injured in spring. If there's health involved and Palante makes the starting rotation, it's because Palante earned it.
And Long chimes in, says, I just love the atmosphere of the ballpark. I'm with you there, man. There's not much more that's in. Again, it doesn't even have to be teams I care about. There's just nothing better than being at the ballpark. I'm totally with you there. And David Lauderdale chimed in and said, now that the player development system has been improved and these young players have the resources to get what they need to develop, I'm excited to watch this team play. Always a Cardinals fan. Win or lose, let's go Cards. I think that's a really important point here, Matt, to me anyway. I'm not using this as a moment to crap on Mo or what went on before. It's just, I do think the fact that there's a change is making this more interesting, and interesting can be more fun. If it was same old, and you knew you didn't have any changes going on in player development or in the way players were being evaluated in the draft and in international free agency, I would see a lot more frustration setting in. I think the frustration last year was totally justified, understandable, because it had been on a decline. I do think the change this year certainly has me more interested and optimistic and maybe engaged, because I know it's going to look different. And now we just have to wait and see if different ends up being better down the road.
Yeah, and I for the fans out there that don't want to give Heim and company the chance, my first question would be, why not? And my second thing would be, you should, because it's going to look different. Let's see if what his plan is actually works. I'm a believer in that plan. Just because I believe in it doesn't mean I'm right. And we can revisit this as the years go along over the next handful of years. But I also think there's something fun about watching a core of a team develop. You mentioned the Kansas City Royals earlier, Kevin.
Yeah.
And they had that run where they went to the back-to-back World Series, and they won one of them. And it was Moustakas and Hosmer and Salvador Perez and Danny Duffy and like a bunch of those dudes coming up. And they were all together in the minor leagues. They all got to the big leagues together. They struggled a little bit at the beginning of their big league careers, and then they turned it on, and they got to a World Series, and they won a World Series. If you're a Royals fan, the fun isn't just getting to the World Series, or the fun isn't just the year they won the World Series. The fun is going for that entire ride. The promise of who those guys were in the minor leagues, them making their major league debuts, watching them develop, all of a sudden becoming competitive and then coming great. That's sports. That's awesome. And hopefully that's what's happening right now with the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I would agree with you, man. And I'll just tack on this thought because what you just said is money. I think riding through some of the difficult times and watching players from the time when they're young to grow into something bigger and better is part of the fun. And I would point to the Blues in that regard. Watching them go from, remember the commercials where JD and the guys were like going door to door, knocking on people and say, hey, come grow with us. It's TJ Oshie and Patrick Berglund and David Perron and David Backus. We're all young guys. I think that added a lot of, to me anyway, a lot of fun and a lot of meaning when they finally got to the mountaintop. And you got to watch Alex Pietrangelo develop from an 18-year-old to the captain of a Stanley Cup team, you know?
Yeah.
I think that made it even better.
Another great example and one that's closer to home for people listening and watching us. Absolutely.
Matt Pauley here, Kevin Wheeler here. This is Rush Hour Sports. Stick around. We'll come back and wrap up this show in just a couple minutes on KMOX.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, east and westbound 70 still sort of slow, centered around Jennings Station. That stall's still on the left shoulder. They opened up the left lane at the airport, so just a brief slowdown there. Not as bad now. And west of there, you look great out to Wentzville. Westbound 64 from Kings Highway out through Bellevue is kind of slow. And again, Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70 busy. South 170 bogs down from Olive to 64, north 170, and south 170 around Scudder's cleared out. Southbound 270. Clayton Road down through. It looks like we may have an incident at Doherty Ferry, a pretty solid jam to there, and then Big Bend down to Gravois is still busy. Southbound 141 better, but it's still backed up between Carmen and Big Bend all the way down through Vance, and it's backed up north of 13th Street down to Romaine Creek as an alternate to 270. Southbound 55 a little slow between Gasconade and Bates. Westbound 44 still bogged down between the bridges downtown as well. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
In times that feel uncertain, music can bring us together. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra for Prokofiev and Childs' Anthems of Resilience. Experience a shared journey of hope through Prokofiev's Symphony No. 5, Rena Esmail's Remember, and Billy Child's Diaspora, featuring saxophonist Stephen Banks. February 6th and 7th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, got a few minutes left here. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler, and obviously we've been doing baseball throughout this. I want to do a non-baseball thing for a second, Matt, because two things came together today that they just drive me crazy about our business. And I tweeted about it, I retweeted or quote tweeted a video of Emmanuel Acho on his podcast talking about the Cleveland Browns. They hired Todd Monken to be their head coach. He was the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, and his quarterback Lamar Jackson was an MVP. Has put up a bunch of big numbers. And the two things that come together here that bother me are the ridiculous obsessions we have with certain individual players, even if they're not very good, because of social media, Shedeur Sanders, and people who do roughly what we do for a living, who put no time into their thought process. And that's Emmanuel Acho in this case. I don't think he's always bad. There are times I've quote tweeted him or retweeted his stuff thinking he's making a good point. So I don't think it's like he's just terrible. He's not. But this take was terrible because he said, why should Shedeur Sanders listen to Todd Monken? What have you ever won in the NFL? And my response to it was, you're a fifth-round pick who's done nothing. You listen to your coach because you don't want your ass to be sitting on the bench. This isn't Josh Allen. This isn't some proven guy with a $200 million contract who can do what he wants. You're a fifth-round rookie who just did nothing. Why would that player question anyone's credentials?
Yeah, and look, I didn't like that hire, especially, and I didn't like that process that Cleveland went through to make the hire.
Awful. It was awful.
Yeah, Todd Monken's not a better head coach than Kevin Stefanski. They took a step back with that change. But Monken's been around a long time, Kevin, and you don't keep your job in the NFL unless you have some skill. Like, he's a legitimate coach. Is he a legitimate head coach? That's a different argument. But he's a legitimate coach. And if you're Shedeur Sanders and bluntly you're terrible at your job, and you've got a guy who's not as terrible as his job and has been around the NFL for a really, really long time, yeah, you listen to the idea that some really bad quarterback who just happens to have a last name that we're all familiar with.
Yeah, because his dad's a Hall of Famer. You know, we got this idea that the kid is something more than he is.
Yeah. Why would we ever tell any athlete of any type of legitimate coach to ignore the coach at any level? NFL, college football, any sport. Todd Monken's a legitimate coach. I don't know how good of a head coach
even
he
if
is.
He's not. You're a 5th round pick, dude. You can't tell anybody nothing. You either do what you're told or you're going to sit.
Yeah, and he may be sitting anyways. I mean,
well, I know. This is my point.
The Pro Bowl is
it's
one
of
the biggest jokes.
It's a joke. 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions is not. I mean, that just shows you though that nobody else wants to go, which is what that is. And then I saw a comment on this, Matt, that I think is the best way to close this topic. Because I saw somebody comment on the thread that Emmanuel Acho had posted the video on. And he said, why should Tom Brady have listened to Bill Belichick in the year 2000? Belichick had done nothing at that point.
Yeah.
Had won nothing at all. Well, duh. Just because you haven't done anything yet doesn't mean you won't. And also, when you're a late round pick, you're just as easily cut as you are put in the starting lineup. I thought it was a horrible take from a guy who was a back of the roster player who should know better.
Yeah, I don't know why he would say that.
I don't either. I'll tell you why. To get clicks, and
we're talking about.
Well,
it.
I didn't click on it though, so we didn't give him any numbers. All right, buddy, have a good show tonight. We've got the countdown to opening day coming up after the news here on KMOX.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I